He was the only person I know that had millions that hung around with rappers. The only black person I know that made it to that millionaire status and that treated rappers with some kind of dignity.
We all believed the secrets would stay buried forever. But this is the story no one expected. Mike Tyson, voice trembling and eyes filled with regret, has stepped forward to reveal what's been whispered in back alleys and late-night studios for decades. According to Tyson Shakur, the icon thought to have been gunned down in Las Vegas isn't gone at all. He's alive, hiding in plain sight, planning his return. And the reason for his silence. Diddy, Sean Combs, the man whose name still echoes through every unresolved feud in hip-hop history. For years, Tyson claims, he watched the world mourn his friend, forced to go along with the official story while carrying a secret powerful enough to shatter the entire industry.
And then I heard the news. But I was supposed to join those guys. I wanted to hang out with them.
Really though?
Yes.
You were going to hang out with them that night?
Yeah.
But you didn't even hang that night?
No.
If anyone's loyalty to Shakur could survive a secret this explosive, it's Tyson. We've all seen the footage. Tyson's massive frame slumped during interviews, choking up whenever Shakur's name is mentioned. His voice breaking as he recalls that final night in Las Vegas. They weren't just two celebrities posing for cameras. They were bound together by pain, fame, and a world that tried to crush them. Who could forget the moment Tyson was in prison and Shakur walked into that cold, hostile visiting room? He was the only outsider who treated Iron Mike like a human being instead of a headline. Tyson never forgot it. He's the only black man I know who reached millionaire status and still treated us rappers with dignity, Tyson once said. Shakur called Tyson his hero. And for years, Tyson was haunted by his failure to save him. Or so we believed. Now, after years of sidelong glances and unfinished sentences, Tyson admits he stayed silent for one reason: survival. Because in the world of old-school hip-hop, everyone knows. Talk too much and you disappear. But with rumors swirling of Shakur's return, the stakes have shifted. And this supposed return isn't about nostalgia. It isn't about a comeback album or a hologram tour. Tyson claims Shakur is coming back for revenge. Not only against the music industry that tried to rewrite his legacy, but especially against Diddy. For years, insiders have whispered about him. The world remembers Diddy as the mogul who survived the East Coast-West Coast wars and came out richer. But in the shadows, the whispers have never stopped, that he was tied to $1 million hit, the one that turned Shakur's life into a shooting gallery.
Yes, on your own platform. He said this on your platform that he put up $1 million to get Pac hit.
Yeah, correct. He was around Puffy and Puffy made a comment when they was around, yeah.
Here's where things start to get shaky. For years, the whispers were coded, spoken in riddles at industry parties and in the corners of dark studios. But as time has passed, and as indictments stack up against Diddy like unpaid bar tabs, some players have started speaking more openly. It's not like the old days of the Italian mob when everyone kept their mouths shut, said one retired LA cop. Now, the second someone gets handcuffed, they'll sell out their own mother. Take Dwayne "Kef D. Davis, now sitting in a Nevada jail. He hasn't said it once or twice, but over and over. Diddy allegedly put out a $1 million contract to silence both Shakur and Suge Knight for good. Officially, Diddy dismisses the claim as pure fiction. Completely ridiculous. But off the record, even some of his former associates admit his survival instincts have always been stronger than his desire for closure.
3 law firms on retainer. I don't know how much money is coming in, but I know that a lot of money is going out every single month for Diddy.
Think about it. While Shakur was dodging shadowy figures and allegedly pulling off the most infamous disappearing act since Elvis, Diddy's bad boy empire was everywhere. Dominating Billboard charts, striking Hollywood deals, turning him into a one-man business machine. Meanwhile, the murders of Shakur and Biggie faded into the background, their investigations left unsolved. But every time the LAPD or FBI uncovered a new lead, the same names resurfaced. Detectives, journalists, even rival rappers couldn't shake the theory that Bad Boy was more than just a flashy label. Other people carried out acts for him, and he kept his hands clean, one insider told the Post. And the myth refused to die. In 2014, Suge Knight himself told TMZ, "Why do you think nobody's been arrested if they said they're the ones who did it? Because Shocker's not gone. If he was, they'd be arresting those dudes." He's somewhere smoking a Cuban cigar on an island. Which brings us to the real fuel for every conspiracy junkie, the so-called Cuban connection. Havana, long a haven for revolutionaries and fugitives, suddenly becomes the backdrop for late-night Shakur sightings. There are grainy photos, blurry but convincing enough to spawn 1,000 YouTube breakdowns, showing a man who looks exactly like a 40-something Shakur, sunglasses and goatee intact, lurking in a Havana nightclub. There are videos of locals swearing they've seen the rapper from America walking narrow alleys, and even supposed audio of Fidel Castro himself approving Shocker's asylum. And then there's the most tantalizing piece of all, Shocker's aunt, the notorious Assata Shakur, who has lived in Cuba as one of its most famous fugitives for decades. To conspiracy believers, it's not coincidence, it's proof.
Let's talk about it, man. So you feel like it was bigger than Orlando shooter Pac. You feel like it's more to the story. You don't think it was that simple?
I feel like it's
And it's not just fans chasing TikTok clicks. Michael Nice, a former security officer, once claimed he personally helped smuggle Shakur out of the US, planting a body double in the hospital bed before flying the real Shakur first to Barbados, then on to Cuba. "There were hugs and handshakes when we finally got him to Barbados," Nice said. "Then my brother helped him make it to Cuba from there." So was Nice the mastermind behind the greatest disappearing act in pop culture? Or just another hustler chasing his 15 minutes of fame? The story took an even stranger turn when Nice was later found unresponsive, reportedly dead, not long after teasing the release of his supposed video proof. Fans went wild. To them, it felt like the ghost of Shakur himself had just dropped another Machiavelli album.
But I'm not surprised. We all know who he is and how we get down, so that don't surprise me.
All of this would just be a late-night campfire story, if the real-world stakes hadn't suddenly shot into the stratosphere. Right now, Diddy faces a legal and reputational crisis big enough to make even a billionaire sweat through a designer shirt. The same week-old rumors about his ties to the East Coast-West Coast feud started swirling again. Federal agents raided his mansions in Los Angeles and Miami, hunting for evidence in a case that spans everything from racketeering to coerced parties. Diddy's attorneys insist he's simply an eccentric superstar, a swinger, not a predator. But prosecutors tell a different story, stacking up witnesses who claim Diddy's empire wasn't built only on chart-topping singles, but on a culture of silence and intimidation. And the timing is impossible to ignore. With the only surviving suspect in the Shakur shooting now indicted, and Diddy's closest circles beginning to crack under legal pressure, the old myth starts looking less like fantasy, and more like unfinished business. So why now? Why would Mike Tyson, the man who loved Shakur like a brother, who once broke down on live radio remembering their last night together, suddenly decide to speak out? Did he finally reach his breaking point, watching Diddy waltz through scandal after scandal while the world ignored the bodies, literal or otherwise, left in his wake? Or is Tyson's revelation something bigger? A signal to the old guard that the time for secrets is over, and that Shocker's return may be the most devastating plot twist yet in Diddy's story.
Pac would have boxed him. Pac would have loved to beat his ass in the ring, raise some money, and give it to the hood.
For all the talk, for every Machiavelli lyric and every fan theory about why the autopsy never quite added up, there's one undeniable truth. Too many powerful people have spent too long keeping the lid on what really happened in 1996. Locals in Cuba claim they've seen Shakur. Former associates insist he was smuggled out with the help of people tied to his own family's radical past. And now, with the music world's biggest scandal magnate facing either a lifetime in prison, or the kind of public disgrace no amount of money can buy his way out of,
the public disgrace
the
you
air
can't
feels
Ciroc your way out of.
If Shakur has been alive all along, who helped him escape?
Who helped
and
him
why
escape?
does his
And why does
reappearance
his
now spell
reappearance
danger
now
for
spell
Diddy?
danger for Diddy?
You know, like every time we have somebody, like we had Tyson. Tyson was a perfect outer city hero because he represented us because he was always on the edge.
If we're tracing the real escape route, we can't ignore that September night in Las Vegas, the night when all the myths began. And if the whispers are true, The stage for the perfect cover-up was already set. The Tyson-Selden fight at the MGM Grand was the hottest ticket on earth, pulling the entire entertainment underworld into one buzzing, chaotic building. When the final bell rang, the Strip erupted. Crowds flooding the streets, sirens cutting through the night, reality and illusion blurring into one. Security cameras rolled. Bodyguards barked into radios. Limos lined up like dominoes. In all that frenzy, who would notice one superstar slipping quietly out a side door, shielded by boxing's most feared champion? Several insiders, including a former bodyguard who has never fully left the spotlight, have claimed Tyson wasn't just a bystander that night. He was the shield, decoy, maybe even the getaway driver. And it's not impossible. Tyson had the access. Private entrances, loyal handlers, and allies at every level of Las Vegas power. Once, the city may have belonged to the mob. But on fight night, it belonged to Tyson. He could make hotel security vanish, call in favors, and, if conspiracy believers are right, secure a jet within the hour. His circles stretched from politicians to promoters, from celebrities to hustlers. So who's to say he didn't pull the right strings at just the right moment to make Shocker's disappearance real?
Admirers. Mike Tyson, a champion once again, makes it 2 for 2 over Frank Bruno and ups his record to 40.
The question now isn't just whether Shakur lives. It's what happens if he steps back into the spotlight. Is this the final chapter of hip-hop's greatest mystery? Or the beginning of a reckoning that could topple an empire? Stay tuned, because if the whispers are true, the biggest comeback in music history is only a heartbeat away.